All right, shalom, shalom. It's Brother Yatazadak, hero of Israel. Before I get started, giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashem Kakwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Today we're going to go into Hosea chapter 10, going into the Hebrew. The Lord willing, you're edified. Giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kakwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Let's get right into it. Hosea chapter 10. Let's look at the prologue for this chapter, which is we'll look it up in BibleHub.com. Hosea 10 prologue Bible Hub. Let's just type in prologue, or here it is, chapter summary. So Hosea chapter 10 says, Israel's fruits of deception, a harvest of judgment. So it says, though Hosea 10 is a chapter filled with divine judgment and retribution, it is ultimately a call for repentance and righteousness. It serves as a stark reminder that unfaithfulness has consequences, yet there's always hope in turning back to God, the true source of justice, righteousness, and mercy. All right. So this chapter here isn't necessarily dealing with the prophetic word. It's just the admonishments that the Lord spoke through the prophet Hosea onto Israel, which is here uh, specifically the northern kingdom, right? Which are the 10 lost tribes. So it reads verses 1 and 2, Israel's deceptive vineyard. Verses 3 to 5 speaks on impending consequences, which says, with no king or idol to save them, the people express fear and remorse. The high places of Avon, the sin of Israel, will be destroyed, and thorns and thistles will grow on their altars. Let's look up that high place of Avon. Bible Hub. I believe in the Hebrew that's a one, which means it means iniquity. Um, let's see if we can get that. It's from the Topical Bible. What is it? The Topical Bible, Avon. The plain of Avon is mentioned in Amos 1:5 in its denunciation of Syria and the country to the north of Palestine. Okay, so it's actually Bethel, but here in other cases it's called Beth Awan, as in the house of vanity, right? That's what that word means. Awan, iniquity, force, riches, sorrow, which is right. Strong's Hebrew Concordance says, which is or two. Let's get back to verses 6 to 8. Speaks on the futility of false worship. Verses 9 to 15 speaks about God's retribution and call for justice. And so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it for that. Nothing really super deep to go into. Right. Let's get right into it. So it says, a vine poured out is Israel. It says its fruits are even like unto, let's look at that word karab. Like according to the multitude of its fruit. It says, which has increased her altars. Like unto the goodness of the land is their choice images, right? Which is what that word actually says. Tazab just means something to stand. It's another way to say imad, which means to stand. And Salaki, just bear with me. I'm trying to put these headphones in, but it's not working. So it says Kapan Bakwak Yasha'ala Parya Yashawa Lawa Karab La Paryawa Harabah La Mazabak Tha Katawab La Aratazawa Hayatayabwa Ma Tazabath. Which we went over that word Shawa. Which here it says it's used as a verb, third person, singular. Level, resemble, equal, equalize, to compare, like the letter ka means to compare, or like unto, just like shamayim, pertaining unto, which means pertaining unto the heavens, or like unto the waters. So that's that word shawa, lawa, karab. We actually already read all this. So that's what the Lord is saying, right? Israel is emptied, meaning they're void of judgment, where they're devoid of any common sense, right? They have no guide, because the guide should be the law, right? The statutes, the ordinances, right? You can't live in a society where everyone just does what they want. You can't just do what you want. You gotta have right laws. You gotta have um, checks, balances, right? You gotta have right. You gotta have a just like the Levites, they were set up as a priesthood, right? The Levites had treasuries. You gotta have treasuries set up. You gotta have right particular funds for the poor of the land, right? All these things were set up, right, to provide structure, right? So that's why the Lord said that Israel here was emptied as a vine, right? Which is why it says, according to the, it says its fruit is according to is according to them, as in according to their doings. Like the multitude of their fruits, so have they increased her altars. So has she increased her altars, right? Why does it say that? Because they were doing according to their will, right? The northern kingdom, right? As soon as they were set up, they put a golden calf in one of the high places, and they set up uh, idols, and they set up idolatrous practices, like the priests, right? The priests that they had assigned to these particular areas were not of the Levitical priesthood, right? So they just assigned whoever they wanted, right? And that's not how it works. You can't you can't place a mailman in a dam uh, as a line cook, because he's not going to know what the hell he's doing, right? He doesn't have that expertise. He's not learned in that type of uh, right ways, right? He is a postman, not a damn line cook, right? So that's what it throws a society out of course when, right, you have those set up not doing what is supposed to be done, right? The line cook is a damn. Now he's working at a damn clothing store, and the clothing store uh, designer now is at a damn pizzeria. That's not how it's supposed to play out, right? You have positions set up for those that have the expertise in that particular profession. So that is not how it's supposed to play out. That's not how it works, right? This is what throws this society out of course, right? When you have, right, the positions and those that practice those positions discombobulated, and now they are what uh not doing what they should be doing. They're not working in their particular field. Now everything is out of course because of that. That is what the Lord is saying here, right? Because according to their doings, right, he shall reward them, which is why, right, here it says he bringeth forth fruit unto himself, right? Does whatever, Northern Kingdom was doing whatever they wanted, right? It says, according to his multitude of his fruit, he has increased the altars, According to the goodness of his land, they have made goodly images, right? So let's move on, right? So it's not always super deep, right? So they did what they wanted, right? They were emptied out, they were devoid of understanding. Their altars were multiplied, right? The goodness of the land that the Lord gave them, right? They used that to set up groves, to set up images, to set up, right? Iniquity, right? Bethel was originally supposed to be the house of God, but they turned it into, like Yahweh said, a house of thieves, a den of robbers, right? When the Lord said, um, my house should be a house of prayer for all nations. Now, what nation is that talking about? The nation of Israel, right? Which consists of you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the confusion of face, meaning there are other people that look like other nations, but they are actually of that same seed line, right? That is the mystery of the Gentiles, right? That is what mainstream media does not want you to know. They want you to go off appearance. When the Lord said to try the Spirit by the Spirit, if it be of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? So that is what you do when you are meditating in the Word. You have that guide. You have, right, um, the sound doctrine, the sound words, right, to show you the way, right. So it says, "He shall despoil their idolatries," which it reads, "Ya Shaddad ma tazabatham." Hosea 10:2, which reads, "Is divided, their heart is divided. Now they shall be found faulty. He shall," which that word I wrap, um, I believe it means like to break or to. Let's look at that word. Ugh. Irap means to bend downward, to destroy, which it also means neck, or to break the neck of an animal. To seize, to pull, it's another way to say to break, basically, right? But it actually means neck. It said, "He shall break," as in break down their altars. "He shall despoil their images," which it reads, "Halak lama aita ya shamwa hawa ya irap ma zabachtham ya shaddad ma tazabatham," which is the word halak means to divide or to portion, right? Also means to be smooth. So it reads, I actually already read it. So their heart is divided, right? This is why, right, you Jakes can't get it, right? Because you're divided, right? There's division caused by, right, these propaganda machines, pop culture, to separate you Jakes from common sense, from your power, right? From sound words, right? Instead, you have damn Mickey Minaj, or what's I don't know what her name is, Mickey Minaj. You have her, goddamn, pushing that speaking all kind of nonsense, right? You got her, uh, uh, her with her damn rear looking like two damn balloons, and this is that mindset that's pushed. These are enchantments that are sent forth in America Babylon Great, right? These are the things that are at the forefront. Why? Because they're pushed by the small hats, right? The converts, the right, those that are in our holy land, dashing chickens upon the damn concrete, talking about they're keeping the Levitical law, right? So these are enchantments to keep Jake divided, right? For example, you have this thing with the migrants, right, and that's pushed at the forefront, right? You had Donald Trump pushing that wall, build the wall, build the wall, build the wall, and then that kind of went away for a little bit. Now it's being brought back, right? Because these are all social experiments, right? Spearheaded uh, um, by Esau Edom, right? On you, Jakes, right? So this is what's being perpetrated, right? Right. You have that council, right? The conspiracy to cut Israel from being a nation, right? Which is spearheaded Psalm chapter 83, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, right? You have the Ishmaelites, the Arabs, you have the Moabites, the Chinese, you have the Ammonites, the so-called Japanese, right? All these nations that, right, do not want you to, right, understand, neither measure the times that we're in, right? Which is the downfall of this wicked society, right? Which is right, the great awakening, which is essentially the remnant will wake up to this understanding and will receive it, right? You also have the Hamites, right, which are the Africans, not the Negroes. The Negroes are two distinct nations. You have Africans that actually look different from the Negro, right? You have the so-called white man. He says that the Africans come from Caucasians, which is not correct. They are Hamites. They're the sons of one of the sons of Noah, Ham. Shem, out of Shem came Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. You have Jacob, which is the forefather of the 12 tribes, which are the so called Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans. And then you have his twin brother Esau, right? Esau is the progenitor of the uh, so-called white man, right? You have the Polynesians, which are from Japheth, another son of Noah. The so-called Hawaiians, the Samoans. These are the original Greeks, right? These are not these. There's no such thing as mix. Numbers 1:18 says that the seed is according to the seed of the father, right? Then you have Abraham. He had a son. He had two sons, Isaac. He had Ishmael. They are Shemites because they come from Shem, which is why the small hats call it anti-Semit Sem, right? Because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. But these are the nations today, right? So this is why these enchantments are being put out, right? To cause division, right? The migrants are taking all the jobs, right? The earth is overfilled, right? When that's not true, right? The earth is so vast. There's no way the current population can is if you spread them all out, they still wouldn't cover the whole earth because the earth is so vast, right? No way, Jose, right? So it says Hosea, so who the Lord has found them faulty, right? That word Asham means to trespass, right? It says he shall break down their altars, despoil their images, right? So the Lord has found you 2/3 faulty, right? Now, this is just talking about Northern Kingdom, but again, these are things that you can compare and contrast to, right? The happenings of in these days, right? So Hosea 10:3 says, "Because now they shall say, there's no king unto us, because uh we have not feared unto the Lord, and the king, what shall he do unto us?" Right? Which is translated here as, "What then should a king do to us?" So that is how, right, a society is thrown out of course as well. Psalms 82 says that the world is out of course. Why? Because the proper the sons of God are not ruling, right? This the which is it, I'm not going to say it goes deeper than Israel, but those of the elect of the nation of Israel, right? Just like Noah, just like Abraham, right? Lot was called righteous in the book of St. Peter, right? That goes back again to the sons of God, which are the same, those same spirits, right? Through what's called reincarnation, right? That will return, in the regeneration, right? And throughout various generations, right? As Jake in their right mind, right? The souls, which is why it says in the book of Hebrews, the souls of righteous men made perfect, right? Because that's what this is about, right? The righteous, right? It's really that simple, right? Which is why Paul the Apostle said, all Israel is not of Israel, right? Because you got wicked 2/3, right? You have the nations, you have Esau, right? So the sons of God were the nation of Israel, just like the woman and the serpent, right? Represented. Now, when you say the woman and the serpent, the woman was the nation of Israel, but they were called the woman or the church. Then they were called the sons of God, right? Then they were called Israel, right? Which they were also called, the wicked was called the serpent, right? The wicked was called Cain. Again, these are just their names given and particular titles, right, to represent the wicked and the righteous, right? Um, so the other nations are essentially like, what do you call them? Extras, right? It's not about the nations. It's about the nation of Israel and Esau and the prophecies playing out as they were supposed to, right? Um, so this is how a society is out of course, right? You don't fear the king, right? When you don't fear consequence, right? When like it says in book Ecclesiastes, or that's the book of Sirach, where it says what, that the a king who destroys his subjects, and so on and so forth, right? Or let's get that real quick. A king that destroyeth his subjects, Ecclesiastes 10:3, which reads, "An unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited." Right? So we are not in control of your subjects, right? There is dissension, there is rebellion, right? There's another word that I'm trying to think of what it says. Not this dissension. You also have yeah, it'll come back to me. Um, so that's the outcome of a the unwise king, right? The unwise king will not produce subjects that are profitable unto him. Why? Because the unwise king uh, takes counsel from the unlearned, right? Not the learned men, not the elders, right? But anyways, let's go back to verse 3. So this is the mindset of Jake today, right? What's Yahweh Shai gonna do to us, right? What's Yahweh gonna do to us? What profit is there unto us if we serve the Lord on this side? They're not even That's not even on their mind. They don't even ask those type of questions, right? Hosea 10:4 reads, and I don't know why it says hear his bows. It's not what it's talking about. Hosea 10:3 says, because now they shall say, there is no king unto it. Or actually, did I read that already? Yeah. Hosea 10:4 says, they have spoken words to swear, to deceive, to make a covenant, and to uh that is translated, that word parak is translated as to spring up, but it's actually it means it's another way to say produce, but it actually means to bloom, right? To bud, to sprout, to shoot, to bloom, right? Sometimes you can read it as what is it? Gamal, which actually means to reward, but sometimes translated as to produce. So, which it says and produce hemlock. Let's look up that word hemlock. So it's a poisonous flower, right? In the carrot family, Apia sea, Apia sea, which is also known as Conium maculatum, which in other parts of the scripture it'll just simply be called uh let's look that up, gall or poison, gall, venom, poison, hemlock. Basically, it's another way to say poison, right? Which is ra'ash, gall, poison, poppy from his conspicuous head, right? Because what? It's another way to say poison because out of the head comes the poison. And the serpent, the poison comes mainly from the head. Some of them, their stinger like I believe. Well, no, it's all of them, right? A plant, its poison doesn't come from the stem; it comes from the the the, um, the stalk. I mean, the head of the stalk or stem, right? So it says, and they produce and springeth up like hemlock, judgment upon the that word. Let's look at that word, the lum, which is looks like it's furrows, which means furrow, the lum, furrow is basically broken ground, right? When you plow, right, the dirt, you're furrowing it, right, meaning you're breaking ground, right? That's what furrow means. Whoops. So that word is furrow. So that word is talam. The furrows of the field, right? Which we read the barwa, the baryam, alath, shawah, karath, baryath, waparach, kabraash, mashapat al, thalamyah, shadyah. The furrows of the field, right? So that's what the Lord said. They speak words, they swear to deceive, make it a covenant. So judgment springs up as a hemlock in the furrows of the field, right? Meaning wickedness is sown, wickedness is produced, right? Like in Deuteronomy chapter 33, the Lord said that Jacob snared and embittered by these philosophies, right? Which are compared as the venom of asps, bitter things, right? Because all it does is run you around in circles. You're not actually getting, right, your nationality. You're not getting the living language, the living language, right? Which is the Hebrew, right? You're not getting understanding. You're not getting edified, right? And that's the result of what the heads going off, the leaders, the king, its subjects, right? There is no order, right? You got to have order, right? If you want to have, right? If you want to produce, right? A a sound rulership, right? So Hosea 10:5 says, or was that at verse 5? It says the cows of Beth Aven says, they shall fear the inhabitants of Samaria. It says, because they shall mourn on account of it, its people, and the priest that are over it, they rejoiced upon its glory, because it is removed from them. Right? Because the priests rejoice, right? Because they were, right, producing profit, right? The people mourned because they were constantly going to these sacrifices, right? They were constantly being drawn to these idols, to offer this, to offer that, right? To offer your next oblation, right? Which is why it says, the inhabitants of Samaria shall fear because of the cows of Bethaven, right? Because that was their God, that was their Almighty, right? It was the idols, right? It was the images, right? Um, because its glory is departed from it, right? But basically, the Lord is saying, right, when the Lord brings that, when He brought that destruction to the northern kingdom, right, He was going to cause the inhabitants of Samaria to fear because of their, because they were going off, right? They're going to mourn the priests that were once rejoicing and getting all these types, or whatever the case may be, right? That, and they rejoice in that glory. It departed when the Lord brought the northern kingdom down and caused them to go into captivity into the land of Syria, right? So it says, even unto Assyria it shall be, it shall flow unto, as an offering unto the king Yerab, or here it's called Jarab, or Jarab. It says, what is this word? In in shame, in its shame, it says, will be ashamed. Ephraim will be ashamed. So it says, basically, it says, shame. Ephraim will be shame. They shall take, basically, and they will be ashamed. Israel upon their counsel, or because of their counsel, right? Because of their counsels, right? Right. Their counsel was, right, to cause judgment to spring up as hemlock, as wormwood, as a thing of naught, right? Which here reads, Gam Athawa La Ashawar Yabal Manacha La Malak Yarab Bashna Aparyim Yakwach Wayabash Yasha'ala Ma Aitaza Tawa. It says, Samaria is dumbfounded. Her king is uh, like the foam, because that word is quatazap, meaning to be indignant, indignation, or right. Another way to denote anger is when you say you're so mad you're foaming at the mouth, right? That word is Strong's 7110, quatazap, wrath, indignation. Says like the foam upon the face of the waters, which it reads Nadamash, Shamarwan, Malaka, Ka Quatazap, Al Panya Mayim. Says and will be destroyed. The high places of Avon, the sin of Israel, to be, it says the thorn and thistle shall come up upon their altars, right? So when you have something that is not properly maintained, you have things like um, vines grow upon it, thorns, thistles, right? Dirt, right? Um, and say to the mountains, cover us, to the hills, fall upon us, right? That's also mentioned in the book of Luke. That's mentioned in the book of Revelation, right? When the Lord brings the third woe, right? The charagma, right? All hell breaks loose. So it doesn't actually mean the heathen are going to be saying to the actual mountains and the hills, fall on us, cover us. That's just a way to say, right, that they're going to be in an extreme fear, right? So you can't say that every time it says that it's referencing one thing, right? Because here it's talking about something that already came to pass in the northern kingdom land, right? So it reads, Wana Shamadwa Bamath Awan Khata'ath Yasha'ala Quatazap Quataza Wa Dardar Ya Ailah Al Mazabachtham Wa Marwa Laharyam Kasanawa Wala Gabayath Napalwa Al Yanawa. Says from days of Gibeah, thou hast sinned, O Israel. There they stood. They did not overtake them in Gibeah in battle uh, by the sons of iniquity, right? Now let's look that up. Hosea 10 and 9. Which, what is the explanation here? The explanation is is a historic retrospect with an implied application to the present. Just as the Benjamites offered a stubborn resistance to the onset of the rest of Israel at Gibeah, so the Israelites now persist in their old iniquities and defy Jehovah to put them down, right? Because I guess Gibeah is where there were notable, right, battles that happened, right, to demonstrate the guiltiness of Israel, right? Like it says here, their prevalent depravity, right, which you read throughout the whole book, Old Testament, New Testament. They mocked the Lord, the Pharisees, the scribes. Not all of them, but they mocked the Lord, the author of life. He said, I go where you cannot come. And they said, will he kill himself? His own family said in the book of St. Mark that he is beside himself, right? Basically, they wanted to put him in a damn loony bin, his own family, right? He said, you shall eat my body and drink my blood, right? Speaking figuratively. And the Pharisees said, does this man want us to cannibalize him, basically, right? Because Jake has no retrospect. Let's look at that real quick. Retrospect, a survey or review of a past course of events or period of time, right? Thinking now about something in the past, thinking now about something in the past. So they couldn't think retrospectively, or they didn't want to because they were jealous of the Lord, which is why they were, right? They seethed whenever he would reprove them because they were basically saying, we're the authority, right? Who the hell are you? Where did you come from? We've been keeping the laws and customs, right? But and they were, but which is why it says in the book of Hosea that Judah is faithful with the saints, but they were adding tradition upon tradition, analyzing every word, every letter, adding an understanding to that, which you see today with the small hats, right? I'm not going to go into that because they might flag my channel. So let's see. Forgot what I was going to look up. But let's get back to the lesson. Yada yada yada. Yada yada yada. This tab, I'm gonna put it down here because I don't want to close that window. And I might revisit this particular tab, but maybe not at the present moment. Maybe I'll go over it later on. So I'll keep this tab open. So let me just go to the previous page. Just bear with me one moment so I can pull that back up. So this, I'm going to have to put it in a sleep mode. So let's go back to Hosea verse 5, which says, verse 9. Okay. So basically, you had in times past particular uh, battles fought in this region, Gibeah, and it was either you, which is why it says the sons of iniquity, because there was the good side that was justified, and then there was the side that was not, basically. So it's not talking about, oh, the sons of iniquity. Okay, that's Esau. That's the Hamites. No, this is just talking about a particular account, right? Which you can compare when the Benjamites went off and then they were almost wiped out. The book of Judges. And then the Lord said, find them some wives so they can replenish in number. And that's basically what happened. You know, it's not really talking about anything else, right? This is talking about just a particular account that already came to pass, right? It's not talking about something new or it's this and that. It's future prophecy. No, it already happened. That's it, right? So it says, verse 10, my desire and that I should rebuke them. So that's basically saying it is in my desire and I shall rebuke them and will be gathered against them the people, uh, which says in which they will bind themselves to two furrows. So word for furrow is ayan, which it means fountain, sight, the eye, um, spring, furrow, because that is the context, right? As I mentioned furrows before, right? So it reads ba awatia wa asaram wa asabwa al yaham amayim ba asaram lashathia I I want them ayantam, right? Let's look at a translation just to get a little bit more context. Yeah, so this is why Paul the apostle was hard to be understood because he was right speaking. He was being spiritual, right, when he was speaking these things, right? He wasn't speaking carnal things. He's talking about spiritual things, right? So let's look at the various translations. This is from the NIV. Hosea 10 and 10. When I please, I will punish them. Nations will be gathered against them to put them in bonds for their double sin, right? Which the kingdom and the peoples will be gathered for right. It didn't go off once, right? It's just basically right. It went off big time, right? That's what the Lord said, right? So he brought the Assyrians on them, right? He chastised them, and they were bound to their double double guilt, basically. Hosea 10 and 11. And Ephraim, as a heifer trained, and Ephraim is like a heifer that is taught, that loveth to tread out, right? So you northern kingdoms, you're simple as hell, right? So-called white man can use you like a damn like a pulley. Why? Because you're simple. You northern kingdoms, you're stuck in your ways, basically, which is why you love white Jesus. You love your damn your tortillas, your Coronas. You will sell out in a minute for a damn 6 pack of Corona. You idiots. This is what the Lord says. You're a heifer that is taught, right? That's why 2/3 got to get cut off, right? You know the kingdoms are the simplest people I ever met. I hate you. I don't want to be around you. I don't even want to look at you because you don't care about the Lord. You don't care. You're not. You don't care about your people, right? You're for yourself, and you Southern Kingdom too, right? You just want to smoke your not your Newports, but you just want to smoke your grass and get some ass, right? And wear a damn fitted when the Lord said, right, to seek me while I still may be found, right? Go to Popeyes and get your 6 piece and go to the club and twerk, because that's what Nicki Minaj does. You try to simple as hell. I hope you die a painful death, because you deserve it. 2/3. The remnant, well, we're still gonna have to go through it, right? Because what is that? The book of Saint Peter, where it says the afflictions accomplished in you are also accomplished in your brethren in the world. Because what does the book of Second Ezra say? That those that consent unto them shall be had in derision, right? But some of you tribes, you love to sell out. You love to do wickedness. So you're not even in derision. You're like, oh yeah, I get to do this. Okay, you love to tread out the corn. Right? You love to play the harlot, right? So it says, and I passed upon the goodness of her neck. Says, I will make to ride Ephraim and will plow Judah and will break and will be uh and will despoil him Jacob, right? Because this is what this society does to you tribes, right? Perverts your ways, right? Especially, well, all the tribes basically, right? Judah's supposed to be the head, right? Judah's supposed to be in the seat teaching, right? Which the remnant is doing that, right? Of you northern kingdoms or southern kingdoms and northern kingdoms. But here it says Ephraim to ride, Judah to plow, right? When it should be the other way. Jacob shall break his clods, which that's not. I don't think that's what it says. Let's look at the commentary. Hosea 10 and 11 at 12. Ephraim, that is, I will be his ruler or director. Judah shall plow, and Jacob shall break his clods. This and the following calls give the image of a husbandman mounting his bullock to direct it over the corn. Judah shall plow, Jacob shall break his clods. By Jacob here it is meant Israel or the 10 tribes, as separated from the 2 tribes of Judah and Benjamin. So it's not that deep. Basically, the Lord is saying that camps, you tribes are out of order, right? So basically, the Lord started with the northern kingdom, passed over its neck, whipped it a little bit, right? He rode Ephraim, right? So I will ride Ephraim to thresh. Why? Because right, the Lord messed up the tribes big time because they sinned against Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? To thresh, right? Because you have particular northern kingdoms, right, in South America just causing all types of hell, right? And here too. And you have Judah, right? So he said, I will ride Ephraim to thresh Judah because what does the scripture say that Judah shall vex Ephraim, right? And so on and so forth. Basically, the tribes are divided. They hate each other. More hate is being produced by these propaganda machines, right? The Native American doesn't want to pardon this truth, right? Because you had IUIC go to their a particular what do you call it um, where the Native Americans reside, the reserve. They didn't want to hear the truth, right? Because it's for the remnant, right? The Lord said, "Go out on the highways and byways." Matthew 22:9. He said, via YouTube, do the sit downs, prophesy, right? We don't gotta take no flights to damn Africa, to Guinea, or whatever the hell it's called. So it says Jacob shall do final plowing, meaning Jake is going to destroy himself because they're going to continue to go after their own lusts, right? Continue to follow after their own ways, ultimately. So it says, Wa aparium agala ma lamada hab thaya ladawash wa anya abar thaya al tawab a tazara arakyab aparium yaharash yahawada yashadad lawa yakwab. So Jacob will spoil himself, right? He's gonna do himself over. He's gonna do himself in, right? Because the Lord is gonna present. The Lord created Nicki Minaj. The Lord created uh, rap, which is it's demon music, right? There's nothing good from it, right? Oh, I'm gonna get uh some PUS, you know what I mean, and I'm going to you know do this and that. There's nothing good out of rap, right? Esau made rap, right? Jake did not come up with that. I was pushed by the record executives, right? And they pushed it on Jake, right? And it is how you know that we're in those times, right? Because the last 3 years, so many rappers have been even though them famous rappers have been killed, robbed, because the Lord is right. Like says the book of Saint Peter, the judgment must first come into the house of Israel, the house of God, right? Which is your tribes, right? So yeah, it's gonna get bad, right? Jacob's trouble is gonna be the trouble of all the nations as well, ultimately when all hell breaks loose. But you Jakes are gonna get it first. You're gonna get it before anybody else, right? Which you're basically you're the number one target, right? By these propaganda machines, by everything that's pushed in society is directed at you tribes, right? Which is why the Lord said Ephraim. He mentioned Ephraim, then he mentioned Judah because he cast them off, and then he cast off northern kingdom, southern kingdom, and then the Lord said he's gonna do himself in, right? Hosea 10:12. Sow unto you righteousness, reap the fruits of loving kindness, right? Nayar, which it means says here tillage. Let's look that up. Let's look that word up. Tillage, right? The preparation of land for growing crops. Another way to say cultivation, right? Or husbandry. A husbandman in the Hebrew is a car, right? Carmel or karamal means to cultivate. It's also a place in Israel, but this means to till, right? The root means, let's look at the root of that word. Bear with me. Which means a lamp or a candle. So it says, till unto you in preparation, right? Which is translated as fallow ground, because that's what you're doing. You're breaking ground. You're right in order to plant a seed, which is what we're doing with the word, right? That ground is you're opening it up for more sunlight, right? Then you put the seed in, right? And then it's going to grow into a nice plant if the Lord's will, right? So you can basically translate this as follow unto you your fallow ground, or break up unto you fallow ground. And now, and currently, for to seek unto the Lord, even till he come and he direct righteousness unto you, right? Because this is what the prophets of old did, the wise men, the scribes, faithful men, right? They waited, they waited, they waited, they waited, right? They received visions, right? They admonished Israel. And then they waited and they waited some more. They did not understand the visions, but they still were faithful because the Lord put it in their spirit. Just like read about in Old Testament, New Testament, right? And now we are still waiting. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. But we're laboring in the word, right? And the more you right meditate on the word, right? You'll see not you'll see new breakdowns, but you'll see new things, right? Which is that is the point to right not put this truth in the napkin, right? You're supposed to take the penny that you received and multiply it, right? So this is how the Lord is directing righteousness, right? By opening up your mind, by supping with you, right? So it reads, Araiwa, Lakam, La Tazadaka, Quatazarwa, Lapaya, Chasad, Nayarwa, Lakam, Nayar, Wa Aitha, La Darash, Ata Yahawah, Ad, Yaba'a, Waya Ra, Tazadak, Lakam. So he said, you have plowed wickedness, unrighteousness, thou hast reaped. You have eaten the fruits of lies, because thou hast trusted in your way in the multitude of your mighty men, right? Which reads Karash Thumb, Rashai, Ilatha, Quatazar Thumb, Akal Thumb, Parya, Kachash Kaya, Batachtha, Badaraka, Barab, Gabar Yaka. So Jake always trusted in his legions, his mighty men, his chariots. The Lord said, "Seek not to the chariots of Egypt." You have particular Judite kings that they relied on manpower, which is why the law says, "Do not heap unto yourselves horses, because the Lord He is your defense." Right? Verse 14, and shall arise a tumult in among your in your midst, and all your fortresses will be spoiled, like the spoiling of Shalman in Beth Arbal in the day of battle, when your mother upon hold on, let me look at this. What does it say? When the mother upon her children was that word ratash. I believe it does mean to dash. Yeah, dash, ratash was dashed as in pieces, right? Wakwam sha'awan ba'imka wakal ma batazar yaka yashad kashad shalman bayath arbal bayawam malachama im al banyam ratasha. Thus thus it shall be done unto you, Bethel, from before the face of your evil doings, from before the face of your evil, which, which is which in which you are wicked. In the dawn he shall be utterly confounded, the king of Israel, which reads Kaka Aishalakam Bayath Allah Ma Panya Rayath Kam Ba Shachor Nadama Malak Yasha Allah. So basically, that is talking about the rate of your wickedness, which the Lord said. He's talking about northern kingdom, right? The kingdom of Israel shall be utterly confounded, which came to pass, right? Bashem Hamashayak Yahushai, right? So with that, this is Hosea chapter 10, going into the Hebrew. It's Brother Yatazadak, hero of Israel. Lord willing, you were edified. And as always, giving all honor and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem B'Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Kwame Yasha Allah, Abad Babal, Shalom.